Let's talk about all the various pressures that are on Prime Minister. Obviously, she's had all the pressure over Windrush. She's lost, 4 or 5 key cabinet ministers. Lots of them have big allies, like Damien Green, like Amber Rudd, in recent months. There's a lot of pressure on her, and yet she is still trying to win agreement from her own cabinet in terms of what the Brexit deal is that we are actually not actually going to do with the EU, but even seeking to deal with the EU. It's almost 2 years on. Defies belief that the cabinet is still debating this. Surely.
Well, I'd obviously like them to settle this very quickly. This is actually not about the deal, because that's all. I mean, all of this is scheduled to happen within the 2 years, the agreements and everything else. So this is part of that. But this is about what our relationship would be like in terms of, selling goods and services, and that's the customs union. And there are two proposals on the table. One is to have a streamlined approach, which is actually being utilised in various other countries of the world, and even the European Parliament thought there was great scope to do that. The other is to have a customs partnership, which is a bit complicated, and it's about us collecting European Union tariffs after we leave, rebating them to businesses that don't sell their goods on into Europe, and also there are big questions about whether that's A, feasible or doable, and B, you'd also have to align, if they're going into the European Union, all those products with the European rules and regulations. But if they're not going in, then do you still have to align them, which makes it very complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've already lost the nation, haven't we, with these two options?
Yeah.
They're unbelievably complicated.
Yeah.
I was very clear when I voted to leave the European Union that it meant leaving the single market and the customs union. We've had this battle over the single market that Ramonas have tried to say, oh, no, well, we didn't know, and obviously we're all idiots who voted leave. We didn't know what we were doing. That battle seems to have been won now, being some clear votes, clear statements from the Prime Minister. And now the battleground seems to be the customs union. But the really simple argument on the customs union is this, isn't it? Customs union is a key part of the European Union. If you're in it, you're still part of the European Union, and crucially, you can't make international trade deals, which was one of the key things that we were going to benefit from post-Brexit. How is it still a debate in the cabinet, in the government, in Parliament, about both Commons and the Lords, that we might remain in some form of customs union? How has that even been allowed to happen, given the democratic vote that happened in June 2016, which clearly stated we believe in the EU?
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I think the British people knew exactly what they were voting for. In fact, all the Remain groups said that if you vote to leave, you'll have to leave the single market and the customs union. So, there's been a lot of nonsense in the House of Lords and others. The reality here is, why are they still discussing and debating this? It's because the European Union and the Irish government have thrown the border of Northern Ireland at the government to say, you cannot have any kind of border controls or anything else on there. And this is, and because of the Good Friday Agreement, everyone's got themselves into a state. I personally don't think it's an issue at all, because about 2% of all the Irish exports go across the Northern Ireland border. About 60-70% of their exports come to the UK direct. From across to places like Liverpool and various others. And the point is that this is a nonsense. You're absolutely right. One of the great prizes of leaving the European Union is that we will have left the customs union, which means we will be able to strike trade deals. The trouble with this customs partnership idea, which seems to be cobbled together in Whitehall, is that it would absolutely limit our ability to do that. Because who the hell would want to do a trade deal with us if we get zero tariffs as we export them as part of the deal? They have to pay European Union tariffs with the vain hope that they'll get some kind of rebate.
But doesn't this come down to the fact that we've got people like Ollie Robbins, the the Brexit advisor to the Prime Minister, who was working in David Davis's Brexit department, but then moved over. He's got the ear of the Prime Minister, that he is a Europhile to the core, long-standing Eurocrat. This is a man who's basically deciding our Brexit policy. When is the cabinet, and when are we talk about these 60 rebels led by Jacob Rees-Mogg? I don't know if you're among them or not, but when are you going to stand up for the Brexit that people actually voted for? When are we going to get this just decided once and for all?
Well, we first and foremost need to leave, and the bill that's going to the House of Lords is critical for that, because that transfers all of the powers necessary for us to be independent completely of the European Union. So getting that through is critical, and we will have left. We're due to leave on the 29th of March next year. So that is now literally a train that is en route and hopefully unstoppable. But the key issue here is, what's the future relationship going to be around, and that's what this is about. The problem is that people, I think, in the government have got two confused and concerned about issues that really will settle themselves for the most part if we know what that trade relationship is. So instead of discussing the border issues, we should be discussing what kind of free trade deal will we have with the European Union, and the rest will fall into place. And I am absolutely certain that the customs partnership will ultimately be so complicated and so impossible to implement that what will happen is people say, oh, well, maybe we just need to stay in the customs union. If you stay in the customs union, we'll have to be rule takers from Brussels. We'll have no say in that, and they will stop us doing these trade arrangements.
60 Tory rebels from the Eurosceptic group, European Research Group, they are saying, this is going to be a deal breaker for them. Is it likely, or is it going to be clear to Theresa May that if she does try and fudge this issue, that actually she will be toppled from the Tory leadership?
I don't think there's any threat. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not completely seen this letter, but
it's not explicit, but
no. And I think the truth is, everyone just wants to get through this. What they're basically saying is, this is a critical component, and nobody should be confused that a customs partnership answers these questions about the Northern Irish border. It doesn't. You only have to look at the Turkish border. They're in the customs union. They are in exactly the position that this partnership would want. But look at their border. It's solid because the European Union doesn't trust them that their goods will actually fit with theirs. So now the border is hard, with full of customs posts and checks. So, it doesn't solve border issues. What it does do is it complicates your relationship, and therefore my general view is we should ditch this and make it as simple as possible, which is we have a streamlined approach to our border, and that means basically that we then get a trade deal which is zero tariffs, and that makes it much easier.
And just finally, there's been reports of threats from Iain Duncan, from David Davis and from Liam Fox, two senior Brexiteers in the cabinet, that if this customs union deal is sort of fudged like this, that they will resign from the cabinet. Do you think that's right, that they should go if they can't get proper Brexit through?
I'm not really great on advising people what they should do. As you know, I resigned and I didn't get on any longer with George Osborne. But it's up to them. My general view is, we didn't come in here for jobs. We came in here to do things. And if you think you can't do what you think is right, then sometimes you need to just take a pace away from it. But that's up to them. And, I hope that they reach a conclusion. I most of all hope that today, or whenever they make this decision, they recognise that if they go for the customs partnership, it will be unbelievably complicated. I think it's almost undoable, and therefore it will lead to various complications. They should keep everything generally in government should be kept as simple as possible. And I think, as people who voted know, they voted to leave the customs union, and if we don't leave, it almost really means why do we vote to leave? And the answer is, because right now, this row, you said earlier on, why is it going on? It's going on because all of those who have never reconciled themselves to the fact that the vote was to leave, as you said, pretty insulting to those who voted to leave, are determined that they'll use the customs union to try and stop us leaving. That's really what it amounts to.